Hello everyone, my name is Blue Raven 666 and welcome to day 14 of my Halloween special. Today, I'll be giving you guys some basic tips on how to read tarot cards. Before I begin, I would just like to ask you guys, are you interested in having an entire series dedicated to learning about tarot? I've been thinking about starting a Tarot 101 series after the special. Again, obviously, I'll still be posting has-been content along with everything else I've been doing. But some of you guys seem to be really intrigued by tarot reading as well, and there's so much I'd be willing to talk about that I just won't be able to get into in this special. So let me know what you guys think about having a new series down in the comments. A lot of people are surprised how much information I'm able to pull together into a reading whenever I read anyone else's fortune. But the fact is, there's a lot of different variables that I take into consideration before and during a reading. The questions a person asks, the number of cards that are in a spread, the positions the cards are in, how clearly the cards are speaking to me, the list goes on. But I'm here to help you guys see things at a surface level and give you a basic understanding of what's going on amidst the cacophony that is actually taking place inside a reader's head. I feel like the first step into getting into tarot reading is obtaining or having access to some kind of tarot deck. Others might disagree with me on this, but having a deck that speaks to you, that you create a personal attachment to, that you would feel completely lost without, is a major component into becoming a good tarot reader. A lot of more experienced readers will tell you to go with a deck that is simple and easy to understand and identify the meanings to, and they'll usually point you in the direction of the Rider-Waite Tarot. Now, there's nothing wrong with using that deck to start learning. I've never used that deck in particular because it doesn't speak to me, and I don't really like the style very much. I first started learning tarot using Azura's tarot deck from Nix Hydra's The Arcana. Yes, the cards do appear in the game, but Nix Hydra was a genius and has also created a physical deck of the cards that you can purchase off of their store online. I fell in love with this deck, so it's what I use to do my readings and to teach others. In order to actually be able to read the cards, though, you need to have a basic understanding of what each card means. Now note, I say a basic understanding. All 78 cards of a tarot deck have a number of different meanings. If I were to tell you, you had to memorize all of the meanings to the cards, both upright and reversed, before you can even start doing readings, you would get overwhelmed pretty freaking quickly. And not only would you get overwhelmed, you would get impatient and frustrated. We're talking about possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of definitions here. I'd be willing to say that reading tarot is 50% knowing the actual meanings of the cards, and 50% is based on your intuition. Your intuition is one of the strongest tools you'll need in order to give an accurate reading. If you use the same deck long enough and frequently, you will form a strong bond with it and be able to understand it and its readings very clearly, to the extent where you'll find yourself looking up the actual meanings in a handbook or online less and less. Another thing that can influence a reading is how you choose to shuffle and select your cards. It may come as a surprise to you, but not every tarot reader shuffles their cards the same way. There's no trick to it other than doing it in a way that works for you. Again, follow your intuition. Experiment a little bit. If it feels off or not quite right, then try something else. If your method is simply shuffling the deck and choosing the first cards from the top of the deck, have at it. If you want to have your client shuffle the deck and choose their cards, go for it. It's all about how you do it, what works best for you. Which brings me to my next point. Don't let anyone tell you how you should do your readings. It doesn't matter if it's another tarot reader or a client. These are your cards, your intuition, and it's your way of doing things. It seriously irks me when other readers get into this attitude of, I'm right and everyone else is wrong, and this is the way I do it, and this is the way everybody else should be doing it. When it comes to reading tarot, no. There are just as many ways to read tarot cards as there are people willing to learn. Each reader is going to do things differently, no matter how they learn it. What's important is getting an accurate result from a reading, not trying to adhere to some sort of cookie-cutter method that some other tarot reader has delusioned themselves into thinking is the only way it should be done. Another important thing to keep in mind when reading tarot cards is considering how they will appear in a spread. A spread is simply how the cards are laid out during a reading. The most common spreads you'll see are typically 1 to 6 cards, and the more cards you have in a spread, the more information you'll get, but that also means there's more to keep track of. Every position in a spread has a meaning. For example, for 3-card spreads, they're usually laid out in a straight line, one right next to the other, and typically look into the past, present, and the future, in that order left to right. However, these meanings could take on different meanings depending on the question that's being asked. So, say there's a very special day that's coming up, and you'd like to gain some insight on it. Those 3 cards could then represent the morning, the afternoon, and the evening of that day. Or maybe your question goes along the lines of, what should I do about this particular situation? First, second, third. It could go something like that. Knowing the positions in a spread and how the cards tie into them is important. Cards in a previous position can even influence other cards within the spread. Keeping track of all of this and keeping it in mind all the time, every time, when you're doing a reading is one of the more challenging things about tarot reading, and it definitely takes practice to figure out. Alright, I know I've unpacked a lot in this video already, so here's a brief recap. 1. Choose the deck that speaks to you. 2. Have a basic understanding of the meanings of the cards, but don't burn yourself out trying to memorize all of them. 3. Trust your intuition. 4. Shuffle and read your cards in a way that works for you. 5. Don't let anyone tell you how you should be doing your readings. And 6. Know your spreads and the positions of the cards that appear in said spread. And I'm going to leave you guys with one last piece of advice. Take your readings with a grain of salt. Just because the cards tell you something doesn't always mean that the fortune is set in stone. If you got a reading that didn't have anything good to say, don't let it dictate your life. These are cards, and you also have the power to change your fate if you want to. Just keep the reading in the back of your mind and carry on with your life normally. That's all I have for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.